I'm joined today by Carolyn Castillo, better known as your absolute top dollar. She's a Florida probate specialist, and with over 20 years of experience, she has mastered the scripts, the systems, and the mindset to turn tough leads and a sensitive subject into top producing activities and closing deals time and time again. And she's going to share her top secret scripts and what you need to do if you want to become a probate realtor, what you need to do, the top 3 things to do in order for you to have the most success. But for now, let's get into it and get tactical. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. Today, I'm joined by the amazing Carolyn Castillo. And, she has a lot to share with us. She's built an incredible niche helping families through probate and consistently selling homes for the absolute top dollar, no pun intended. And we're going to dive into her exact strategies and systems that make her stand out. So, let's just jump right in and, welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much, Alex. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get into this because I think a lot of people really, especially new agents, they hear about probate. They have no idea what it is, but they know it's a profitable niche. But real quick, before we get into the tactical stuff, just a little bit about you and kind of why you chose to get into real estate.
Yes, so I am a school dropout, okay? And my mom was like, "Well, if you're gonna drop out of high school, you gotta get a job right away." And my neighbor actually was the manager of a rental office,
Hmm.
and they just rented apartments, and they would run these little ads in the newspaper. It wasn't the internet back then, if you can believe it, okay? And they would lure people in. I say lure, it would be what we call like clickbait, nowadays, okay? And so I started working in that rental office, and I really liked the idea of like showing people apartments and like seeing all that. So they actually had me on the phones. I was working with them, taking kind of some of those calls and just doing admin stuff. And as soon as I turned 18, I got my real estate license. And the rest was history from there. I learned really early on to be a listing agent. So I was basically calling landlords and, saying, "Hey, we'll rent this for you, take this off your back." And so I became a lead like rental listing agent at that time. And that's kind of where my journey started. And had a bunch of kids and kind of dibble dabbled in real estate for some years. And then I got back into it, did traditional sales where again, still using the phone, still prospecting, mostly doing cold calls for sale by owners, expireds, those kind of things. And always been a listing agent. I've just always liked being a listing agent, better than being a buyer's agent. And one deal, changed it all for me. I learned about probate and then, just kind of dove in from there.
Nice. Is that so when you learned about probate, is that kind of when you went all in full time?
Well, no, I basically just got a lead. So somebody told me that they wanted to sell their house, and I was like, "Okay, great, I'll be right there," And then he's like, "No, you can't come to the house. I gotta go to your office." So right from the jump, I was like, "Okay, this is different." And so she came over and told me the situation, and basically her dad had passed away. At that time, I didn't even know what probate was. And this
Mm,
is where a lot of agents run into probate is it just kind of like falls on your lap because these people do have to sell their houses, right?
right.
So they'll just contact a regular realtor and say, "Hey, my dad died and I have to sell this house." This family was actually a bit of a dramatic situation. So I got like the full royal treatment of probate on that one. But there was something about it, about being able to help somebody solve a problem. It wasn't just about marketing. It wasn't just about, being the best realtor in the room. It was about helping a family solve a problem that they couldn't solve themselves. And then that's what led me on the journey to say, how can I find more of these? How can I, what is probate even,
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I started getting into it.
Got it. So, real quick, since you started that journey a while back, what are some of like the biggest struggles that you initially had, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is just like, what is probate?
Mm.
I didn't know what it was. I've even, to this date, I've never been a personal representative. I've never had a family member in probate. Most people don't run across probate, not just realtors, but just people in general don't cross through probate maybe once or twice a lifetime, right? So it's not something that is very typical, common knowledge to people of what probate is. Once I found out that it's basically a court administered process, it's a public court administered process. So think about like a divorce, think about a foreclosure, right? These are leads that we can buy because it's public information. So anybody that wants to make it their business to know about this, it is a public record. Okay. So once I figured out it was a public record, I'm like, okay, somebody's probably got to be selling leads. So I found somebody that was selling probate leads. And I just kind of added it in as like one of my many leads because I was doing for sale by owners, expireds, cold calls. Like I just kind of added it in, like, hey, let me see what I can get from these. And I was getting listings and I was like, shoot, this is kind of cool. But I was getting the listings that were just kind of like ready to go. So these are people that were like, are you thinking about selling the house? Yes, I'm going to sell. And you just kind of like, it was kind of like a traditional listing, but it was a probate lead. And then the more that I started doing it, the one that really changed everything for me was I was sitting at a kitchen table with two sons. They were 18 and 19, young kids, young boys, and their mom passed away. And mom just went to, the hospital, had a stomach issue. It wasn't like she was on her deathbed, wasn't like an old person. Like this is one of those that shocks people when people just pass away sometimes.
Hmm.
And when I was sitting there, that was really like the one that it was like, dishes in the sink, laundry in the dryer, mail on the counter. It was just like mom was just there and now she's not. So these boys were sitting there just kind of like imagine they lost their mom, the house, what are they going to do? All these moving parts. And so that's when I realized, hey, wow, these people actually have a lot of things they have to maneuver through, they have to manage. And that's why I started like focusing more on it to say, how can I provide solutions for these families and really kind of help them? And, as I just kept doing it, it just became more if you've never done something, you don't really have that much to say. But when you get on the phone with someone and they say, oh, well, yeah, we want to sell, but right now, we're just dealing with, trying to clear out the house and do everything. A normal realtor would say something like, okay, great. When should I call you back? Right? They're just waiting for all the problems to get solved. And
Right.
then when should the realtor come in? Right? But to be a probate realtor is to actually step inside of those problems and be the solution for those problems. And so that's how, like, just kind of like deal by deal, I just started getting, more well versed and to be able to step into people's problems.
Yeah. So you basically became the quarterback to assist them through the entire situation from, the person passing to getting things moved. That's amazing. That's what you call niching down and really delivering your value. Because a lot of people think like realtors don't have value these days because
Yeah.
you can just go on Zillow or whatever. But
Hmm.
like that is a very valuable lesson that you just taught everybody on this call
Yeah.
is like niche down and it's more not it's not about you the
Right.
realtor, not about your paycheck. It's about people's lives you know
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's really awesome.
It can
So
be scary, niching down, right? Like because you think about the people that you're not servicing, and that's something I think we all go through in niching down, is can I get enough business from this niche that I can niche down, and so it definitely doesn't happen like from one day to the next, from black to white. It's more of a conscious decision that you're going to start really providing more solutions. Because think about it, if you're a realtor for all, then you're not a specialist for any, right?
mm,
But if you start really saying, hey, I like probate, let me learn more about it, let me see, let me partner with some estate sales companies, let me get more involved in this life cycle of what's actually happening, you're just going to see that more opportunities are just going to start coming your way. And then you really can, that's what I love about it now. It was a little scary at first to say, oh my gosh, you're only going to do probate deals, but when you become a listing agent, like when your sign is in a neighborhood, they don't know it's a probate.
Right.
They just see you as a realtor. So anytime you're a listing agent, you're always going to get like neighbors like, oh, hey, I saw you sold my neighbor's house, or applying like open house strategies, right? Like all of those things can still be applicable. And the cool part is, though, is that you have a way that you know how to get listing after listing after listing after listing. So your branding and your marketing may be totally niched, but it still provides other opportunities for you.
That's amazing. So let me ask you this. Would you say that probate is for a newer agent or someone that's kind of been in the business a little while? What would you like? Let's say I'm a brand new agent. Would you say, yeah, go into probate and here's the steps, or no, go get some experience somewhere else?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity of working with realtors in both capacities, and the good thing about you not having any experience is that you could just learn everything like one way. Because to be a probate realtor, it's quite a little bit different than being a traditional realtor. There used to be people would say, oh, you can't be a listing agent unless you have years in the business. Like to be a listing agent was to be like the cream of the crop. So why do they say that? Well, there's skills that a listing agent needs, right? Like you're the one that's like saying how much this house is worth. I take that very seriously. It's not, talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. Like you're the professional telling them, that's a big job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're also the one, I always think like buyer's agents, you get stressed out because you're driving people around and, it's a perfect house, everything that they said, but the lady's like, no, I don't like the sink, and, buyer's agents are like, like that's the stress of like a buyer's agent. But to be a listing agent, it's more pressure, right? Like you're dealing with, having to have tough conversations with your sellers on accepting offers, on reducing prices, on stuff like that. So I just think that it's not really a new agent or a seasoned agent. It's more of a different skill set that you have to say, this is what it means to be a listing agent. And I've seen people be successful both ways. So
Yeah. Do you how do you combine that with your social media presence and like, or do you, I know the answer to this, but do you use social media to amplify your brand and amplify your probate,
absolutely.
dealings?
Yeah, so I was about 4 years ago, I was a secret agent, so I didn't have any branding.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I hooked up with the amazing Mike Sherrard, and he helped me set up my YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. And it started off as Absolute Top Dollar, which is what most people know me as. But then Absolute Top Dollar kind of like turned into like more for realtors, really reaching out and wanting to know what I do and wanting to, learn from my cold calling and stuff like that. So I was kind of kind of walking the balancing beam of providing content for my customers and also agents that like, get value from my content. So recently I split the Red Seas and now I have my own channel, which is Probate Property Angels. So anybody can go check it out. And this is really where I'm sending families that are going through probate and really providing those resources for them. And in my community, like when I'm doing networking and handing out my business card and stuff like that, that's my identity, right? Is
The
probate
client
property
facing, yeah.
agents. Yeah, yeah.
Got
But
it.
absolutely, you can. That's the cool part about niching, right? Is like when you go into a networking room, right? Like everybody's always like at least 10 realtors in the room, minimum. But when I walk in the room, I'm typically always the only probate realtor. So you get up that moment, a real, scary moment when they pass you the mic and you've got to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
I tell them, I'm like, I'm a real estate professional that helps families navigate probate. Once someone's passed away, we help the families, with that. And everybody's like, oh, I've never heard that before. So it's like an instant way to stand out. And it's been cool using what we learned in the Wolf Pack. I've been getting people come directly to me from my YouTube channel, from my website, that actually, the ones that I just recently got, they hadn't even filed probate. So they actually called me first,
Wow.
yes, and said, Carolyn, I inherited my dad's house. I need to figure out, what are the steps, what are the processes, how I do this. And then I was able to connect them with the probate attorney and, kind of be the manager of that whole process.
Again, you're like the pinnacle of value for these people. That's amazing that you've built this brand.
Yeah,
So talk to me as if I'm saying, "Hey, I want to get started in probate. I'm an agent, new or not, doesn't really matter. What's the
yeah.
first three things I should do to get into probate?"
I first would educate myself on what probate is, right? Some realtors like myself just get the opportunity, right? And that's how you kind of get like thrown into it. But if I didn't get a referral or I didn't get an opportunity, I would just Google it, right? ChatGPT it and say, like, what is the probate real estate laws in my city, in my county, right? Every state is different the way they handle inherited property. Probate is a global term, though. Okay, so that's really neat because at first, when I was learning about it, I was like, is this just a Florida thing or what? And then I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is the official legal proceeding, just like a divorce is a divorce in Florida or in Italy is a divorce. Okay,
Right.
probate is the same thing. So, however, each state and each county has its own little differences. And so and I always tell people, don't research. First of all, you can't rely on ChatGPT for this 100%. I'll be honest. I've tested him out in my own area and he's not like 100%. So I would go to not one, but like 10 attorney websites in your area. Okay. And they're easy to find. These guys are always advertising. So if they're paying to advertise themselves, they should be, pretty qualified, right? Pretty professional. At least they're trying to get business. Then research their websites and look what they have to say about probate real estate. The second thing I would do is I would go to your county courthouse and see what leads are available for you for free. So remember, this is a public information. So I have some students in my group that literally have an account set up with their online clerk's office, and they literally log in and literally download the information. So you could be blessed to be in a county like that you get free leads. You're not paying any lead provider. And it's crazy enough, they give you the phone number. Okay. So you're not having to skip trace or anything like that. Like they'll
Yeah.
literally give you who the executor is, where's the property located, who you need to call. And if they don't give you access to it like that, then there are lead providers out there that can do that work for you and can provide it for you for a price. And then the third thing I would do would be call Carolyn. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, for sure. Binge watch the YouTube.
So, the thing about it is, I figured this out for the most part on my own. So it's not like people can't figure it out, right? But with probate, there's a lot of moving parts, right? And so a lot of people think that, to be a probate realtor is just like the most common thing that I'll hear is, yeah, these people just aren't ready yet. They're just not ready yet. And I'm like, well, that's the magic spot. Okay. They're not ready yet because they have problems maybe with one of the beneficiaries. They're not ready yet because they have to figure out how to clean out dad's house of a lifetime of contents. They're not ready yet because they haven't gotten any communication from their probate attorney and they're just waiting to find out what the next steps are. That's why they're not ready yet. So what I teach people is how to jump into those situations. And
Mhm.
if you don't have the experience, you're not even going to know like how to jump into their problems, you know? So in my group, I teach you like, what are all the problems? How can you become a resource for those problems? How can you become a solution? So from day one, you can hit the phones and you can break through that barrier of, oh, we're not ready yet. Give us a call in, a few months and we'll see how things are going, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Man, that's some powerful stuff you just dropped there. That's good stuff. Yeah, power bomb. Um, well, I guess the next thing I want to go, you mentioned Mike Sherrard. I'm sure most people know who he is at this point if you're a real estate agent on YouTube or social media. But he's our both of our business partners. Kind of walk me through like how you got connected with the Wolf Pack and why you chose the Wolf Pack and then why you chose EXP specifically, to kind of help you along your journey of
Mhm.
probateness.
Yeah. So, really, I wasn't 100% into probate like hardcore, at that time. It was just kind of something that I was dabbling in, an extra lead source. It was during COVID when I signed up with EXP, and I was previously at Remax. Okay. And for me, getting to Remax was like the cream of the crop. Like, I thought like I made it to realtor heaven, like when I got to Remax. Like, that was just like the identity that I had, as weird as it may seem, but it was Remax had like this very prestigious look to it in our area that I worked in. Like if you were a Remax agent, you had this credibility just by having Remax by your side. So I got to Remax, I was there, I was living the dream, right? And sometimes like, when you're dreaming about something and then you actually get there and you're like,
Mm,
what? Like, what is the hype about?
like this is it?
And this is it. I made it, And it really shocked me because the you didn't get much support from your broker. Like this guy that had opened this Remax, he had been sending me postcards since I was probably like 15 years old, like getting his postcard. Like that's how I had gotten this affiliation with Remax, and I'd see the commercials, and then I ended up getting into real estate and all the things. And I thought, surely this guy's gonna tell me what to do so I can be successful in all the things, And no, nothing much. Didn't really, share too much. And then all the people in the office, top producers, very successful, it was closed door.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was sharing anything. And it was just like I really didn't wasn't happy, And then the training that they did offer was like somebody from the 80s. And I'm just like, what? Like I just wasn't happy. And so I started it was during COVID, so we all had extra time on our hands, And I started researching, how to, build my brand, like, all those things. And of course, who did I run into? Mike Sherrard, okay. And I booked a meeting with him, and he was like, "Yep, I'll give you all the, platform of exactly how you need to build this out and what you need to do." And to be honest, I really signed up because of him, because of what he offered. And then he explained to me what EXP offers, and I was like, "Gosh, this is the future."
Yeah.
At that time, it was everything was shut down. Like people, like I literally have a picture of myself going to an appraisal, okay, during COVID with like a gas mask on, okay? Like this is like ridiculous, okay? Like I had to take off all my clothes before I went back in my house. Like I can't believe we did all that. But yeah, and anyways, but Remax like was handicapped. Like they didn't know how to function. Like they didn't have any systems online. They didn't have anything. And so when Mike showed me like the cloud and he walked me into it and I saw everything, I'm like, this 100% is the future. This is where our world is going. And then I also love that EXP gets you paid at the table. Remax didn't do that. All the brokerages that I worked at previously didn't do that. You went to closing, you got the check made out to your broker, then you went
Mm-hmm.
to your office, you gave the check, and then, the lady that was in charge of that, hopefully she's in a good mood that day and doesn't say like, "Oh, you missed a paper" or something, and then I hated that. And then so EXP, they do a commission disbursement agreement and you get paid right at the table, you know? So when my seller gets paid, I get paid. And that's huge for me. So I love that. And yeah, I've been happy ever since. I've been an icon agent every year that I've been there. So I always cap. So I get my 16,000 back in stock. And you know, that's a cool thing because like I remember when Mike was telling me about everything and I'm like, gosh, Remax has a stock and they don't even give me the opportunity to even buy it. Jeez, you know, so the fact that you're in production, you're just doing what you're gonna do regardless, you know, you're earning stock, you know, you get 100%, there's no crazy fees. Like Remax, I think I was paying like probably like, I don't know, I think I was paying like $500 a month, you know, to be there. Like it was
Wow.
like ridiculous. Yeah, but I did it because of the balloon, you know. I was like so enamored by Remax's marketing, they got me, you know, and
Yeah.
but they didn't really serve you when you were there. And so it's been awesome. I switched over. I was a little bit like a black sheep at that time. People were still not thinking EXP was very cool, you know. So I remember a lot of my colleagues were like, "Oh, you're going to EXP?" Like, gosh, they sold you like as if I got into like a pyramid scheme or something, you know.
Right.
And I want to share one other thing is so during COVID, right at that time, okay, I went to a 10X conference in Miami with Grant Cardone, okay? And already it was like crazy that we were all at this conference with our masks on and everything. And on the stage, he announces that Elena, his wife, had gotten licensed just to sign up for EXP. And I'm like, thank you very much. I know I made a good decision. You
Yeah.
know, I was like, all these people, you know, are just like, oh, I can't believe you went to EXP, you know, and now most of them have signed up with EXP by now because they see the light, you know, but
It's the famous don't knock it till you try it, right? Yeah.
yeah, I
But
love it. It's a great company. I'm super happy. I don't see myself going anywhere.
oh no. No, I think and plus with all the value that, we have here, not only EXP, but the
Mm-hmm.
wolf pack and like the
Oh
community
my
that we
God.
have, the family that we have, the camaraderie and how people just dive in. I mean, look, you're taking time out of your busy day to come on my YouTube channel to
Yeah.
help everybody else. Like that's how we do it here, right? So, first, thank you. Like that was amazing. You dropped so much knowledge on people. And you guys, if you want to get in touch with Carolyn, all her information is going to be down below. Her YouTube, Instagram. I won't put her phone number. Sorry about that. But you can connect with her and jump on a call with her. Jump on a call with myself if you have any interest in making a switch. You want to get her training, my training, combining probate with the tactical marketing systems that I do will probably,
Kill.
you'll be top dog in your area. But nevertheless, thank you so much. Any last parting words that you want to say?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and looking forward to connecting with more people that are interested in probate.
Right on. Thank you guys so much. And hey, I'll see you at XPCon. Bye. Awesome. Thank you so much.